In this video, we are going to learn about the OS module in Python, a module used for interacting with the operating system. Let's do this. So here I am going to run Python in the terminal and then go ahead and import the OS module. So in Python there is a dar function, which is a function that takes in an object and returns all attributes and methods available on that object. Let's use this function to check out all the attributes and methods available on the OS module. And as you can see, there are a bunch of methods and attributes available. So we're going to start with the name attribute. The name attribute gives us the name of the operating system we are using. For example, if we are on Unix, so it's going to be POSIX, and if you are on Windows, it's going to be NT. To get the path to the current directory, we use the function called getCW method, and this gives us a path to the current working directory. So when we are working with paths, we can have absolute paths or we can have relative paths. So when we use a relative path, it's going to be relative to the current working directory. So the OS module has a function called listDar function, which lists a directory. It returns the files and directories that are available in a directory. So if we call this method without providing a path, it will go ahead and list the current working directory. And when you give it a relative path, it will list that directory as well. So as you can see, we are getting files and directories available. So if you want to change the current working directory, there is a function called changeDar function, and this function takes in the path to the directory we want to make the current working directory. So like here, if we list the directory, the current working directory, we will see that it has changed. We can also see this by calling the getCW function. So now let's change the current working directory to our default current working directory. So now to create a new directory, we use the makeDar function, and this takes in the path to the directory we want to create. This can be a relative path or an absolute path. So now if I list this, you will see that I have now a new directory. So to remove a directory, we use the rmdir function, and this takes in the path to the directory we want to remove. So we can also use this OS module to rename a directory or a file, and to do this we use the rename method, and this takes in two arguments. The first one is the path to the file or to the directory we want to rename, and the second argument is the new name. So another aspect of the OS module is that you can use it to interact with the environment variables You can set and retrieve environment variables. So if you are not familiar with environment variables, you will learn about them in the upcoming videos. But for now, you just have to know that environment variables are basically constant variables that controls the behavior of your programs. The OS module has environ attribute, and this is a dictionary of all environment variables that are available. Since this is a dictionary, we can use the get method to access an environment variable by its name. And there is also this function called getEnv function. This also does the same. It takes in the name of the environment variable and it returns that variable. So you will see this kind of environment variables being used in project configuration, like database configuration in Python projects. And also people use this kind of configuration to hide some variables they don't want to expose to everyone. So you will see this a lot. Now let's check out the system method. This is a method that executes the command in the subshell. Like so, if you give it any command, it will go ahead and execute them like the way you would execute them in the terminal. You can execute the date command, which tells us the current date. The system function can also execute a bunch of commands, and it executes every command, and it executes commands one by one. So we can pass in a string which is made of a bunch of commands, and it will go ahead and execute them one by one. Okay, anyways, this is the end of the video. I hope this gave you some kind of walkthrough on how this OS module actually works. I will see you in the next one.